here to discuss their experiences in being Black gay men and the journey of fatherhood are Cory and Jeffrey. Cory and Jeffrey, how are y'all?
Thank you for having us.
So let's get right into it. How long have y'all been together?
Be 10 years.
Yeah, going on 10 years in
No,
November.
November 2015 is when we first met. And yeah, this is 2025. And then you throw COVID in there and some years kind of fast forwarded. I don't know how we got here this quick,
Yeah.
but yeah, a decade.
10 years.
Yes.
When y'all first met, did you guys know you would get the 10 years?
Oh, we've never been asked that before.
I'll say no. I didn't know.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I'll be completely honest.
Yeah. When we met in 2015, it was a transitional year for both of us.
Mhm.
Coming out of previous relationships, new jobs, new thought processes, being on our own for a little bit of time.
New places.
Yeah, new places. Yeah, it was literally a season and a year of change for us. So I don't think we expected it. But then I said like 1 year went by, 2 years, 3 years. The fourth year, I remember us sitting like, this is the longest relationship I've been in. Even going to the point of like, how many Christmases have we had together now? I think we usually count by Thanksgiving and Christmases because like that's around the time of the year that we met. So yeah, 10 years. That's oof.
I think when we got to 2017, I think that's when I said, okay, we might be onto something. Mind you, that was 2 years in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What do you think the glue has been for you guys?
I would attribute that to family and supportive friends.
A loaded question. Ooh.
Um,
I think the many goals that we set for ourselves in those seasons kind of were the foundation to kind of keep moving forward. Like we would have a goal to try to do this. Let's do this by next year. Let's see if we get to it. We got to it like, oh, not knowing that we set ourselves up for the next thing within our. So like over time, those small steps, those little bits of consistency that we had kind of showed us how to work together. We experienced all seasons together, like the good and the bad. We experienced like I had a season of death in my family, like back to back to back to back to back to back to back. And you know, him being able to kind of pull me out and through that, and then him having death in his family, like and us kind of doing that for each other. I think it was no choice for us to go to point A to B to C just because of the natural progression of things. So I don't think it was one thing in particular. I just think that we just kind of kept going with the flow and at one point in time kind of released expectations of what it was and kind of just gained strength off of that, if that makes sense.
I also say our mothers.
Oh yeah. Definitely family. Yeah. Mom.
Our mothers for sure.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I feel like that's just beyond family.
Yeah.
Moms support you and they're accustomed to you guys being together.
That's all that matters. Yeah.
And they love it. Then it's like, listen, we ain't got no choice but to make this thing work, honey.
Right.
You know.
Remember that first year or that second year, he came home with me for Christmas. This is when we were in our homeboy phase. Which, I don't know who we was fooling. Nobody. He came home with me and like my mom and dad were there and like they had got us both gifts and stuff. And I don't know who I thought I was fooling. Which I mean, and in hindsight, my mom said, "Oh, I knew all along." I'm like, "Why didn't you say anything?" She's like, "Well, I was just waiting for you." I was like, "You could have saved me a lot of heartache, a lot of time, and a lot of second guessing myself in that process." But I guess everybody does definitely have to arrive at their own given pace. But I think just the glue has been each other. Like the who we are as individuals, we are as individuals. But when we come together, we like. It's like a secret ingredient that is a product of that love. And I think that has been the glue in a sense of what it is and to everything that we have now. So
I agree with you on that, babe.
I hadn't thought about it. We've never been asked that before. So yeah, that's why we're a little stumped. Like we talk a lot, but that was one that was just like, damn.
Okay, so when did you guys recognize that you wanted to be fathers, and what was that conversation like? How did you know it was time to move forward together and do that?
Well, I'll first start off by saying that I've always known that I wanted to be a father. Me personally, being from the South, I've always and raised by my great grandparents, I've always had this nurturing side to me naturally anyways.
He can keep house too.
So I always knew that I wanted to be a parent, to be a father. I just didn't know at what capacity I could make that happen.
And
I
how.
didn't know how that could happen. So I'm known at a young age. But when you're talking about when he and I realized it or whatnot, I'll probably say
I think I remember.
we had an inkling in 2020, I think, when we first got that lifelong adoption package.
You're reading my mind. I think this is when you were, so we're here in North Carolina. I was living in Raleigh at one point in time, and then
I was living in
he was in Durham, and we both had purchased. This is how crazy it was. Like, I had gotten my own house, and then he had gotten his own house like less than a year later, and everybody was just like,
they thought it was the dumbest thing.
What are y'all doing? This is the stupidest thing. Y'all just going to house to house, and we did it for about a year and a half.
We did.
And then we sold them. And that was the smartest move. And then that's how we came together as it relates to that. But the reason I bring that up is because I remember coming to your house from my house in Raleigh. No, I was going to my house to Raleigh because he worked in Raleigh at the post office at that time. So I was leaving his house because I worked from home to go to mine. We would like spend 2 weeks at his home and 2 weeks at my home. And the neighbors, we were really good with both of our neighbors. So they would check on our houses for us. We were all good. Pack the dog, go to this house, pack the dog, go back to this house. And on the way there, I remember a conversation I was passing about the church's chicken. I was just like, you know what? I really want to think about adoption. At that time, I think we were talking about fostering. Like, what does that look like? So we got in contact with some agencies and discussed like, fostering wasn't what we wanted to do. But I would say that was definitely 2020.
Yeah, 2020.
The year of COVID when the shutdown.
And you reached out to the agency that we adopted through, which is called Lifelong Adoption.
It's not a paid endorsement, so we're just,
Okay. But anyways, we reached out to that agency and they sent a
welcome
package in the mail. And so he took it upon himself to reach out to them to get this package. And it came and it was beautifully packaged. And you opened it up and it was just like, oh my gosh, beautiful babies on the front of it, going through
little facts about adoption and
how they are allies for the LGBT community. And, and so at that moment, I think it felt real. It was like, you know what? I think we probably could do this.
And then we stopped.
But then we stopped. We tabled it because I was getting ready to propose to him
in 2020.
Did he know that?
Depends on what day you ask. So I turned 30 in 2020. Mind you, this is when the shutdown has happened. The world is closed. Literally, I know starting in February of 2020, right before everything closed, he began developing the process to throw me a surprise 30th birthday party and a proposal. When I tell you that everybody knew about this but me, when I family, friends, he had sent out invitations. Over time, he had been attending meetings at local event venues and talking with caterers and photographers, trying to get this. I'm like, he had literally been planning, and then COVID happened, and he's in the process of thinking are we going to be able to do this? I also was not out at that time, so he's about to propose, and my mom is going to be there, and he has all this pressure on him. And I'm wondering, why your attitude so stank? In April, because I wasn't out. He was like, well, I'll let him talk a little bit more to that. But so when I turned 30, October 25th, 2020, it was a surprise proposal party. So that's why, and I guess that was a good excuse for us to table that. And then it took 2 years for us to plan the wedding. And we're like, well, we'll table this until after the wedding. So that's what we did. Yeah, we planned for 2 years.
For 2 years, we planned because we didn't know what this pandemic was going to do. And we were engaged in 2020 and got married in 2022 and picked back up with the adoption agency.
A week later.
Oh, it was a week
later?
It
was a week later.
It was definitely in the winter months.
Yeah, we came to LA in we got married September 2022. We were in LA. We were guests on the Jennifer Hudson show. So we were just chilling out in LA, got back home the next week, and I was like, let's rev it up. We had talked to the guy who owned the company. We had a sit down.
Let's just set up a meeting. Yeah. That's what we just
exactly what we're doing now. The same exact setup on the same couch with the computer right here. And we learned more so about it. We learned what the numbers were. And
let's get some information. Let's just see how's this process. What is it like?
October 2022 when we started that.
And one thing about my husband, once he learns the process, they give him information about it or whatnot.
I'm a researcher.
Honey, he gonna research it and he's actually gonna go ahead and get started.
Oh yeah.
We'll worry about the rest later. How much it costs and all that. That's not, I'm not gonna say it's not a think in his mind, but it's like, well, let's at least try to get through these steps first and let's figure out how we'll pay for this and this, that, and the third. So yes. But to answer your question, I know we're kind of going into all the details about it, but to answer your question, we tabled it in 2020, but it started officially in 2020.
What was the process like of adopting the child?
To be honest, in hindsight, when you're in it, it seems difficult because it's a huge mind. There are some words that I want to say. It's a huge bubble fuck of just thoughts of like, okay. But in hindsight, I think we probably, from who I know and from the people that I've connected with and other fathers and mothers who have adopted and had kids, whether through surrogacy or whatever, we have had one of the most seamless processes ever. You know, a lot of people, this could be a long conversation. I'm gonna try to do step by step as far as like really quickly. So we got approved. We joined the agency. They put us on the website. We created our profile book, a family profile book, which you just put your biographies of who you are, how long you've been married, family photos, all to submit to prospective mothers who are interested in placing their children. They placed us on the website. We went through our background checks, our fingerprints. We did our home study, which what we thought was going to be super daunting at first, but we were blessed with the best social worker that we still keep in contact with to this day, who has never seen a story like ours to this day.
And she's been in it for over 30 years.
Yes, she's a 30-year professional and she's seen horror stories. We got an excellent quad A attorney who has been in it for 20 plus years that has never seen a story like ours. So we worked with the agency. We had a few false starts. We had prospective mothers. I remember at one point in time, we had a prospective mother reach out to us without even being on the website for 1 month. Our home study wasn't even officially began. And she was from Philly, I think. Somewhere. Philly. It didn't work out. That was like her 7th child. And I was like, oh, we're sure about to be assuring. It didn't work out, but we hadn't got too attached. So that didn't hurt a little bit. So we went back to the waiting game. I'm checking the website. Our photo is still up there. Then we got another opportunity that March. And I learned about that when I was in LA doing an event for Essence. That lasted for about 2 months, but we didn't connect that way. It felt like walking on eggshells. And then literally May 5th, 2023, we got this opportunity with our birth mother. And when I tell you that it was a little nerve-wracking at first because we were going through with it. Every time the phone rings and it's from like Chicago, I would be like, okay, this could be it. Like every day I woke up with the expectation, like today could be the day our lives change forever. And that was I love living in that type of thinking. And that day we got a call and it was so funny. Like I had woke up that morning. I remember praying. He had went to work. I had a sense of calm over me that day. Plus May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, my sister's birthday. So we were about to go out for dinner anyway, like that day. So I was like, okay, we're going to relax. But I remember the phone rang. He was at work. It was sitting on the island, and I looked at it, and it was a number that I didn't have saved, but it was an Illinois number, and I was just like, And in my head, I said, I bet you this is somebody calling us about a child.
Wow.
I picked up the phone. The piece that I had, I think it came across over the phone for the consultant, because she was just like, are you okay? Because she said, I'm such and such from such and such agency. So I guess she was thinking like, oh, if someone calls from this number, it's about to be good news. But I answered in the most calm. It wasn't a monotone voice. It was like, hey, how are you? And she was like, are you okay? Is this a good time? I was like, absolutely. And she proceeded to give us the details. I got off the phone with her. I called him. We're trying to put a plan of action, because what happens, they give you the first name of the person and the phone number, and that person writes down, oh, I would rather text first, or I would rather call. And she was like, I want to text first. We got a plan of action together, sent the text. And when I tell you from then on,
nonstop,
it worked naturally. and the reason I kind of said in the beginning that our, social worker and our attorney have never seen anything like us, we have an open adoption with our daughter's birth mother. In fact, we were just in Baltimore last weekend. She graduated from college. She got a bachelor's degree in social work.
4.0 GPA,
4.0, magna cum laude. Like, everything that she told us she wanted to accomplish for the reason for her to place her daughter, she did. So and we have been supporting her. She spent Christmases with us. We have slumber parties here at the house. Like I said, we go to Baltimore, we go to Charlotte. We were with her for our first Mother's Day. We surprised her. We have that video on our Instagram that blew up. We are so close with her that people who just follow us that are interested in becoming mothers and followers think that she's a surrogate. Because they haven't seen a dynamic like ours. So they automatically assume surrogate. Oh, your friend carried your baby? No, we found her. We didn't know her from Adam, before May 5th, 2023. And that's why I say now, and we met her when she was 7 weeks pregnant. So we had a long pregnancy. A lot of people get what they call stork drops when a baby is born. They're called and then they go to the hospital. We got to know this baby girl, when she was the size of the diamonds in her ear. That's how small she was, jumping up like a little bean in her mama's belly. And we got to see, we went to appointments, we got to see ultrasounds. At the hospital, we had a joint connected room with her. That's how, and the first thing that she asked, I remember she was sitting in her dorm room. She was like, how do you feel about me having a bond with the baby? We were like, we're A gang. So she had support from her mom, her brother, her aunts, her uncle. So we've all become we're about to start vacationing at this point, seriously, because that's how close we've gotten. So we've been super blessed, and we realize that is not the story for everyone. So I would say, in hindsight, the process has been one of the easiest that I have seen in comparison to thousands of cases. This is unlike anything. And this is our day-to-day life. We'll probably FaceTime her mom tonight, during bath time. What you doing, girl? You got a date tonight? What's going on? That's just the dynamic. She's our little sister. That's just the dynamic of everything. So the process, even though we probably butted heads out of anxiety or anxiousness of
we definitely did.
Yes. The one thing you got to realize too, when you're meeting with the birth mother or you're in this process, is that you have to give up complete control. Yep. At one point in time, I was super scared and I was walking on eggshells. I didn't want to say the wrong thing. And at one point in time, he was like, you know what? I'm going to ask what I want to ask. And that was the best thing that he did, because it showed another level of transparency for her to us and us to her. And that's what really shifted the dynamic in our relationship with each other. So it's been smooth sailing.
Because, and to his point, I was that way with him and about the situation because you sacrifice a lot financially, number one, right? And the adoption agency, they kind of school you on what to say, what not to say, because it can be triggering. Don't say my baby, or don't say, well, when you give me your baby and
you're giving up your child,
you're giving up your child.
The language
just triggered the language. And then it got to the point where it sounded like we were reading
not ourselves.
We're not ourselves, and it sounded like we were reading a script. It was weird. And so, and I said, you know what? I can't do this. If this person can't see me be authentically myself and same
then
for
it's
him,
not the situation for us.
Then this is not the situation for us. If it's meant to be, it'll happen. Mm-hmm. And baby,
I'm a firm believer that God cannot bless who you pretend to be. And that was one instance where we had to fully just release all control. We took a shot in the dark, and that's just kind of what it was. And she made it super seamless for us as well. If we had questions, she did not mind answering anything, vice versa. So the process, in hindsight, was super easy. While in it was tough, because we had to learn what surrendering control meant. But it was a beautiful process. I wouldn't change anything in the world about what we experienced and how we experienced it, and the disruptions, in the adoption world, what they call it. I wouldn't change anything, because I think, for one, each disruption kind of built our skin a little thicker and made us look, so we knew what to expect the next time. So
exactly.
How has having a child together, how has that contributed to or shifted the dynamic of your personal relationship with each other?
Well, we can't get up and go where we go. Man, we got to do hair. We got to pack a bag. We got to put Cheerios in the Ziploc. We gotta
it's
pack
shifted,
milk.
honey. I'm not gonna say it's not shifted.
Baby, we can't get up and go to Target. Well, are we shopping at Target? I haven't been, but like, when we were, I can't get up and just go. Like, I mean, she's at daycare now, so that gives us a lot of flexibility. But like, I used to be able to get up and go to the outlet or go shopping, and can't do that.
It's shifted, but in all honesty, I know we kind of cutting up, but it has not changed our actual dynamics in our relationship. Our relationship is solid, right? And
just more responsibility.
More responsibilities. If anything, we encourage and motivate one another. There are moments that Jeffrey will look at me and be like, "Babe, you're doing a great job," and vice versa.
Bitch, you're doing a good job.
Yes. and he'll say that, or I'll say, we're doing a damn good job.
And there are also moments when we'll be like, babe, I have nothing left to give right now.
Yep.
So last night, like, he's in grad school, he's about to earn his master's. So like last night, he had said like, I'll be in the office for an hour working. It turned into 3 hours. I knew he had work to do, so I was like, I gave the bath. I did that type of thing. So it's kind of picking up. Some days it'll be 70% for him and 30 for me. Some days it'll be 50-50. Some days, I'll be completely honest, it'll be 10 for me and 90 from him. Like, you find a way in the middle to kind of figure out, because like I said, when you factor in like illnesses and sicknesses and like a lot of things, so we've had to pivot. Like, I work out in the mornings versus like what I was used to, accustomed to. So like you when you're in it, you just figure out how to make things work. You adjust to it, because at the end of the day, she's the priority. So if I have to miss a work call because she's sick, I'm missing a work call, because guess what? Lord willing, the job won't still be there. And I have a lot of parents that I work with too, so they kind of understand that. So
he travels
for work,
and when he travels, I gotta hold it down.
Yeah, when I was in LA, when I had met you, like, he was here with her, getting her ready in the morning, getting her to daycare, getting back, feeding her. So
I think it just keeps us on our toes. It keeps us on our toes, and it draws us closer. I would be a lie if I sat here and say that we've not gotten in heated discussions about who's doing what, or frustrated with one another about, especially early on.
Yeah. Well, how did you change? Like, I was up for 3 hours. We were in different jobs.
Can I get a nap? And it was tough.
And once we brought in our nanny, which a lot of people may shame it, our nanny was a gift from God. And it's one thing when you want to bring someone to your house to care for your child. You don't know. I mean, we ran background checks. She was the first person and only person that we had one person we interviewed who would have been a great match. Yeah. But she was looking for something full time. We just needed a couple of days throughout the week. Our nanny is another person who has become a member of our family.
Oh, yes.
So I don't want to say when we let her go, but when we decided we wanted to place Ava in daycare, our nanny went and got a job at the daycare as the head chef, feeding all the kids. So she still has an eye on her. So we get texts during the day when the teachers are not the teachers are excellent, but like, it's just an extra pair of eyes. Like, oh, Ava's doing fine today. Or like, oh, she bit somebody today. Like, she gives us those separate text messages. Or like, Ava didn't want to take a nap today, so she helped me push the food cart down the hall. And it's nothing so wonderful like having that.
Yes, phenomenal. Such an amazing woman. Such an amazing
She's
woman.
Definitely a member of the family. We've vacationed together.
Yep.
She's
nanny with us
nanny
on the
KK.
Cruise. Like, yes.
Mm-hmm. She has pictures of Ava up in her house, framed bigger than what we got. So yeah, it's definitely, and before she got here, there were prayers that we would say aloud to each other, like, God, help us build our village and help us identify those who are actually sincerely there to help and not give unsolicited advice. That's one thing you notice as a parent, people will try to insert their 2 cents.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we don't need that information, but we'll handle it, or we'll let you tell us, but we're gonna still do it our own way.
That's right.
So and we also I'll be completely honest, at that time we prayed and we would say, God, remove the people who we think that would be in our village but have false pretenses or different ulterior motives. They're no longer here. So it worked out the way that it was supposed to. Yeah.
Why is visibility important? And it sounds like most of your experiences have been positive, but have you thought about how you two or the family will navigate experiences that you may have, being 2 Black gay men raising a child?
I had mentioned earlier that You know, I had no examples growing up of what two same-sex black males look like, you know, and since I didn't have it, he didn't have it, you know, again, visibility, it's very much so important. I've had a lot of individuals reach out to me and share their thoughts on how our story has touched them, you know, how us living in our truth, raising our daughter, being who we are as two black queer men out here in this tough society, as we all know,
in the rural South.
In the rural South, yes, how it has touched them or whatnot. And I feel like it is our job, it's our duty, you know, to be a representation out here of what it truly means to be black and queer, to be a parent, but to live a fairly decent, wholesome life, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. You want to pick up on that, babe?
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking about it. I'll be completely honest. I was never the one that wanted to be a role model for anybody. Like, you know how you hear the Cardi B's or the Nicki Minaj's and people like, oh, be a better example for younger girls. I think at one point in time, Cardi was just like, I'm not trying to be an example. Your kids shouldn't be listening to this. Like, it's, you know, that I think I never wanted to become an example. When we met, I remember I was like, I am not the one to carry around a pride flag. I am not going to
I wasn't that guy either.
I was like, I'm not going to these marches. That is not me. I'm not that kind of gay. I'm not that kind of
Right.
girl.
Right.
So that was just never, but I think the longer that you live and the more comfortable that you become with yourself and you realize what identity is, like I'm more than just gay. I'm more than just a black gay man. Like there's so many other aspects and facets to each of us. But I think the longer that you live in it and you realize every day that to others you are a threat to society, especially in this administration that we're in right now, your priorities begin to shift. And when you realize they're a threat to your livelihood, to your family, to the daughter that we're raising, that's when the dynamic changes. So we get out there to vote, or we get out there to kind of make a stance, or I guess all in all, I'm totally okay with being put at the forefront to be the face of something that I never thought I would be the face of or be in the public eye, because all in all, it protects my daughter, and I would fight to the ends of the earth because of that.
Tell us about the book. You know, what is the book's title, and what are some of the concepts that we can expect to discover when reading this book? And why did you think it was important to write this book together?
Absolutely. So the book is called We Love You ForAva. So our daughter's name is Ava. And the word for Ava, I'm pretty sure it's not new, but when we were getting to know her birth mom and, you know, we were hanging out, and that's just something that we kind of put together in our text thread, like, oh, love y'all, love you forever. But then we changed it like love you ForAva. So that's just something that we say when we get off the phones. The book is a children's book. It's illustrated, and it's basically showing the day-to-day interactions that we have with her.
Real life.
In the mornings when we're doing her hair, when she's on the phone with both her grandmothers, when she's doing arts and crafts in school, when she's out in the playground. And for us, because this is something, you know, our relationship is something that we did not see growing up, something as simple as a book showing the day-to-day interactions with two black gay dads and their daughter, as small as it may appear, with the illustrations, like it's something that would have given me hope at the age of 6 or 7 or 8 or 9. So I think that's one thing that we do together is we operate in a way of how can we heal our younger selves. And I think this is a way of doing that. So we're super excited about the book. So.
Yeah. And I'll also add to that as well. I'll also say that with this book that is going to be released on next month, there's not a doubt in my mind that Ava, us being her parents, has not changed the mindset of others, right?
Mm-hmm.
One thing to see us as ourselves as just two men in love that's together, right? Okay, yeah, you got to get accustomed to that, right? But when a child is involved and they see how good of a job you're doing, and they see our day-to-day lives as much as we are willing to share via social media, and then now we have it in a children's book form, we know we've changed minds and perspectives, right? On how people view parenthood. how people view parenting as a whole, you know. And I think that this book is going to do that. I don't think, I know it will.
Yeah.
I know it will change the mindset. Again, bring visibility, right? Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to add that to it.
That's a huge point. So like it's when we were creating it, like I remember we would get to one point and we were doing the illustrations, and they're so lifelike. At one point in time, there's this one page for people who will see this. There's a one page that we illustrated with her mother and her, and it looks just like her mother. And we actually presented the first ever printed copy to her mother this past weekend at graduation. We're going to be sharing that on social media probably tomorrow sometime and release, for promotion for the book. And she was gagging. She was like tears just everywhere. So she was the first recipient of it. So we're super excited for people to see this labor of love, this passion project for us, and to get a more so deeper, in-depth view of what day-to-day life is for us. And for those that who are our straight counterparts and wonder like, what are they doing over there in that house? They're raising that little girl. For them to see that we're just like them. We're doing hair in the mornings. We're feeding Cheerios. We're fighting someone that looks like that we think is the Incredible Hulk, putting her in the car seat in the mornings, like she's twisting and turning. Like we're going through the same exact stuff.
Same exact.
Almost said it again. It's almost got too real. But we're going through the same stuff, and I think that's super important for people to see. Like, oh, what is life like being a dad? It's the same as anything else. Yeah,
we handle it. We manage. The gays just know how to do shit. Okay, especially when it comes to two gay dads raising a baby girl. Now, it's one thing to raise a little boy. Okay, yeah, we could do that. But when you are queer, honey, you gay, you got a girl around. My first friend was a female, so and I have a sister. He has a sister, so quite naturally, it's in us, and we just know how to make it work with this one.
The expectation was very high.
Yeah, it was high,
and they're also being met. So yes,
there we go.
Yeah. How can we get a copy of the book?
Yes, so the book will be released on June 1st. It will be available on Amazon.com, at Barnes & Noble, on Walmart.com, but also you can purchase copies on our website at www.therosedaddies.com.
So make sure y'all get a copy of that book and tell people about it. So last question, what advice or words of encouragement would you have for other Black gay men looking to become parents?
Honey, go for it.
That's the first step.
Go for it. Go for it. If you feel like that is something you want to achieve, that is something you feel in your heart and your soul, that, hey, I want to be a parent. I know I can be a good, solid parent. Go for it. Figure out what avenues to take, because although we did adoption, there are multiple avenues that you can take to become a parent.
There are multiple financial resources. I would say also guard your hearts.
Yep.
Let me first say this. Yes, we're married. You do not have to be married to adopt a child.
Nope.
You can be a single straight man, a single gay man, a single straight or gay woman. You do not have to have the traditional household, and that's one thing that our agency did a great job. And I'm also connected with a lot of African American adoption consultants that really kind of corrected those myths for us. So I would say finding out that I know people that don't want kids at all. That's just not what they want. But for those who are interested and you're trying to figure out what life looks like for me, we didn't necessarily have the answers to when we were 16, 17, I'm pretty sure that we knew that we wanted to be parents. We just didn't know in the traditional sense how that would work. The world has come a long way from us being born in 89 and 90. The way that conversations are being had is a lot more acceptable. But also find your village. And when I say village, that just doesn't mean family members or people who would be there for your child, but we consider our social worker a member of our village, our attorney a member of our village, of course, her birth mother as a member of the village. But find a village of professionals and personal that kind of reaffirm what it is that you are doing. And if you want it bad enough, you will do it. There's a hell of a lot of paperwork. It's like, it's more paperwork than getting a house. It's more paperwork than getting a car, a loan, student loan. Like, it's so much stuff to do.
Well, although you go through a lot for these various processes that you can take, there we go. Sorry. It's so worth it. It is so worth it. And it's such a huge reward on the other side.
It is.